Hello, everybody, and welcome to another AIMBOT. Am I morally bankrupt or them? Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's another midweek, and it's great to see you all. We're doing moral, consensual, solicited moral judgment of people that we don't know. But before that, I do reserve the segment of these episodes for sort of things that I've picked up on, and I did want to talk about something that came up, and that is Jordan Shanks. And you might say, who the hell is Jordan Shanks? That's a fair call. Definitely an Australian YouTuber. I saw something on Penguin Zero's channel about him. Basically what happened was his house got firebombed and his next door neighbor's house got firebombed because apparently the criminals behind it couldn't seem to figure out the address the first time. So all this happened a few years ago, but he's put out a video and I want to watch it and sort of react to it because it's kind of very strange. It's kind of very weird. There's no explanation as to what's happening in the case or what's going on, which is very unusual. And he's put out a video on it, so I did want to watch it. Now, I have a complicated opinion of Friendly Geordies is his YouTube name. I've got a complicated opinion. I think that he has done really good work. I think he's done really good stuff. And I think that in the past he has been just trying to annoy people, trying to do these silly things. And I don't think he's helped his case much. But like sort of going on, he seems to be doing better and better. So I have a mixed opinion of him based upon the work that he has done and, you know, what he's doing. But you know, that doesn't mean that someone should have their house firebombed, right? Like that is absolutely ridiculous. Now, there was a lot of speculation as to who was behind it. I thought maybe it was sort of, you know, somebody he'd annoyed in the past because some of his stuff was sort of, oh, let's go to these people and, you know, politicians and you know, figures and annoy them. But really, it turned out to be sort of a person associated with sort of like underground crime in Australia, like sort of mob activity, which is incredibly scary, right? Incredibly scary. But apparently, the weird part is that they found the guy who did it, the, as they call it, gun for hire, but they haven't actually told anybody who he was working for, and he's got an incredibly light sentence. So I wanted to show the Friendly Geordies video and maybe just react to it. It's very weird. It's very, very strange. Everything's kind of strange here, I gotta say. Let's see. Do that one. So this is Friendly Geordies, and that's the title of the video. I want to burn so bad. Very, very odd.
The firebombing of my house. This event, I would have much preferred that the New South Wales Police handled, failing that any responsible authority. Yet so far, every single person or institution with an obligation to investigate has mysteriously declined or just plain failed. Apart from Kate McClimon at the Sydney Morning Herald, who needs to be given immense credit for her work on this saga. But very little credit can be given to other journalists and authorities who not only seem ambivalent about properly investigating the firebombing, but downright hostile to any potential action that could threaten to expose those responsible. And now, we know a few of the reasons as to why this has been the case.
Right, so this all happened a while ago, so it's been a long time in the making. We've got any information about this whatsoever. So this is Jordan Shanks. You know, I think that he is a good YouTuber. I'm not a huge fan, but he does important work on YouTube. He does do stuff on YouTube. So whether, you know, he's a journalist or not, he was doing stories on certain individuals who were perhaps not as adherent to, you know, sort of respectful of the law as perhaps they should have been or ought to have been. So he does all of this sort of just with a very, very, very small team. He kind of has annoyed a lot of powerful people. And, you know, his house getting firebombed was a real shock. You know, like it is a real shock. The fact that it took so long to get anywhere at all is kind of really disappointing. And this is over the other side of the country for me, but he still is pointing out, look, New South Wales and Sydney in general I don't know. I have opinions of it. I think that it's a pretty sort of dirty town, as in, there is a fair amount of corruption there. There are problems with sort of influence that politicians and law enforcement have and their connections to things. But no matter how annoying Friendly Jordies is being, he doesn't deserve to get his house firebombed. And his next door neighbor, who has had theirs attacked accidentally, certainly didn't deserve it. So this has been sort of a thing where the media's coverage has been disgusting of this. It's been like, he was causing issues. What did he expect? And that kind of victim blaming is absolutely shocking, quite frankly, absolutely shocking. So this is Jordan Shanks. I think that he does good work. I think that in the past he's been, he kind of annoyed me because he was just being sort of childish. But I think he's in the recent years he's actually done a lot better. And I think that no matter what you're doing, like, you could be the biggest annoying prick on the face of the planet, doesn't mean you get your house firebombed. That's ridiculous.
And these are very, very concerning reasons. As such, today I feel like I've been left with no choice but to again address the firebombing, as I've waited 3 years for the police to do something during the...
Yeah, 3 years. 3 years, right? 3 years for the police to do something, and they finally caught somebody. I don't know how they caught him, but 3 years in the making is a bit... Yeah, you might need to do better, Governor. You might need to do better.
These 3 years, I've not only watched them pass by on numerous chances to solve this mystery, but also somehow, for some mysterious reason, downright actually reject good leads that I've been aware of. No follow-up or interest. It's been a joke. There's been more interest in the police determining what accelerant was used to burn down my house than convicting the people who ordered it. So, I hope this video will...
Yeah, so this comes when they found somebody who they describe as being working as a hired gun, right? For who? For who? That's the thing. They won't actually say who he's working for, and that is weird, right? Like, when you find out that somebody is a mercenary or a hired hitman or some kind of muscle for somebody, the investigation doesn't stop, right? Like, that's the weird thing about this. It's like, well, we got him. He was just a hired muscle. And then you say, well, for who? And they go, what do you mean? Now, I will make a caveat to this. What I hope is that the case is still ongoing and they're just not talking about it because the police don't want to reveal their hand. I don't know. But the thing is that if that were the case, you'd expect them to tell the victim that is what's going on. The victim being this gentleman here, who obviously has no idea what is going on in the case of the crime committed against them. And that kind of, well, keep them in the dark is pretty crap. Like, I don't know why, if they say, hey, look, we're continuing to investigate, we're going to, we're going to shake all the trees, we're going to knock on doors, look, you please don't talk about it because that will reveal them what we're doing. Totally understand, and I think that he would understand as well. But obviously he has no idea what's going on, if anything. And, if nothing's going on, that is ridiculous. I don't know if I can even check to see if the case is still open. It's very strange, though. There's no real sort of thing, and it's wild. It's absolutely wild.
Get some proactive cops interested in finally charging the people responsible for burning down my house, or at least flush out what the hell is happening in the New South Wales Police, one of the largest, most powerful, well-equipped police forces in the Western world, that has, in my estimation, seen a single journalist publicly uncover more about the firebombing than the entire force combined. As you probably know, in 2022, my house was firebombed because of a video I made. A video which I was forced to take down a year after the firebombing, after threats on my life and the lives of others were attempted to be passed on to me via a former Mongols bikie sergeant-at-arms gangster turned four corners journalist, Mahmoud Fazal.
Yeah, so this guy, Mahmoud Fazal, he did a video about him, and basically he was told, basically he was threatened. He was threatened from all sides. His house was firebombed. This is the kind of stuff that is just organized crime. But the police I mean, it's kind of ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Gangster turned Four Corners journalist Mahmoud Fazal. Yes, Four Corners, ostensibly the most prestigious investigative journalism institution in Australia, the esteemed flagship, no less, of our dear public broadcaster, the ABC. Allow me to reiterate, as that is really hard to capture just how damning this is. A Four Corners journalist was meeting with heavy organised crime figures, then sending through demands purportedly on behalf of those figures, threatening that if I failed to remove my investigation into these figures, myself and people around me would die. This story was exposed by Kate McClymont in the Sydney Morning Herald over a year ago, though I never spoke about it in depth. You can read it if you want more context, it's brilliant work, but the important takeaway is this. When faced with an abundance of new evidence relating to the firebombing, the evidence that was more than enough at the very least to charge a few people, what did the New South Wales Police do? As far as I'm aware, nothing. Nothing substantive, at least. I tried to question the Four Corners journalist who passed on these threats, but according to New South Wales Police, he refused to provide a statement.
Yeah, so you've got a Four Corners journalist, right? A journalist with one of the most reputable shows on the most reputable station on the ABC, passing on threats from a organized crime syndicate to a YouTube, journalist. I guess, I mean, he's a journalist. He does stories on stuff. I mean, whether or not you feel that he is a good journalist or not, that's entirely up to you. But he's still a journalist. So you have one journalist with ties to organized crime passing on threats for a organized crime family to another journalist, one that just works on YouTube. So I guess screw him. No one takes him seriously because he works on YouTube instead of, the ABC. So he's passing on these threats to this individual, and the police go to investigate it, and this guy goes, "No, I decline to make a statement." I'm sorry, what? What? Like, I get journalistic integrity and protecting your sources, but if you're actually going to someone and passing on threats to them, saying, hey, these people say they're going to end you if you don't stop doing what you're doing, I'm sorry, at that point you don't get to say, hey, I got to protect my sources. You're not doing a story, you're carrying out being a messenger for the mob, basically, for organized crime. You don't get to say, oh no, I refuse to provide a statement because I have to protect my sources. What are you talking about? Like, seriously.
Shouldn't that ring a few alarm bells?
Yeah, so this is the thingo, like, Lanka later emailed the ABC, does the ABC believe it is acceptable for one of their employees to pass on death threats to other journalists and then refuse to cooperate with the police? Is that acceptable? And the answer should be, oh, hell no. Hell no. Hi, Jedi. Good to see you, mate. Yeah, so I first saw this on Penguin Zero, Charlie's channel, and I was like, I'll watch the original because he said, oh, watch the original, it's wild. And I'm like, yeah, okay, I'll do that. Hey, Blastermaster. But yeah, this is the ABC. This is absolutely ridiculous.
He refused to provide a statement. Shouldn't that ring a few alarm bells? Shouldn't that open up further avenues of inquiry when conveying threats in of itself can be an offence? Apparently not. This is every criminal's dream treatment. Burn down a house, threaten to kill people, have it reported to police, and then the police do nothing. I thought the police would do something. I shut up for them. I didn't release material I had, as the police said it could hamper their investigations.
Right, and that's really where you should be telling the victim. Like, this is the thing. Yes, Jordan Shanks can be in your face. He can be loud and boisterous at the times. He's settled down a lot since his younger times on YouTube, but him and the New South Wales Police have a weird history. That should not prevent them from doing a professional and thorough job on investigating this. This is the victim of a heinous crime that could have killed people. He had his house firebombed. They got the address wrong and firebombed his neighbor. That happened first. Like, they got the address wrong and they firebombed his neighbor. No one was hurt, but, you know, like, there's got to be a thorough investigation. And, you know, having another journalist make headway, give the leads to the police, and the police go, oh, well, it didn't go anywhere because the journalist who passed on these death threats declined to provide a statement. Really? Okay, sorry, Blaster Master. Yeah, everyone's coming late, so this is something... Okay, so rewind. Okay, so basically, a couple of years ago, a guy called Jordan Shanks was doing a story, a fair amount of stories actually, about corruption in politics and crime families in New South Wales, which is one of the states of Australia. And a firebombing happened next door to him. Now this was heinous, and there was some suspicion around it, and you know it was thing. But another one happened to his house, and he wasn't there, right? So no one was there, no one was hurt, but it did burn down his place. His name is Jordan Shanks, also known on YouTube as Friendly Geordies. He does political pieces. He does content which points out, like, he did a really good... The thing that changed my mind about him was he did a really good piece on the state of the rivers in the area of New South Wales that is sort of does all farming and things, and sort of where is the water going, who's stealing the water, and that changed my mind on him. Because before that, I'd mostly just seen sort of like trying to annoy people, trying to get into the faces of politicians, and it was like, okay, it can be a bit of an immature prat. But, you know, regardless of what I think of him, he is the victim of a crime, right? Someone firebombed his house. Now, I cannot think how absolutely petrified I would be if someone firebombed my house, right? It hasn't stopped him. Like, full salute, you've kept going, and you know, my opinion has changed on him significantly. My wife does like his content. I'm a bit whatever, but this is huge what is happening to him, because his house was firebombed and the police don't seem to care that much. They've caught somebody and said, oh, they're working as hired muscle. They're the one that firebombed the house, and they were working as a hired goon for somebody. But they don't seem to care who they were working for. So this is incredible, right? Like, you have somebody go, yeah, I was a hired goon. I did the crime. You know, who were they working for? And this is him talking about how his experience. Yeah, I hear you, Blaster. I hear you. I really do. I don't know how I would feel. I would be devastated. I'd feel lucky that no one was there, but holy crap, like, seriously?
Now, in hindsight, I think it would have been safer to put out what I knew. And then what did the national broadcaster do when faced with the fact that their reporter was telling people that he was going to meetings with gangland murderers in order to find out what death threats and messages to pass on to? I guess in this context, I'll have to call myself a journalist, as my stories are certainly more consequential than the utter swill Four Corners pumps out. The ABC?
Yeah, I would say that he's a journalist. I certainly would say that he's a journalist, because it's a fine line between providing content and journalism. Now, you know, is his stuff leaning towards the left? Yes. Is his stuff like... So the reason why it's a fine line is because he doesn't just do journalism. He does content, he does reactions, he does other stuff. But if you go and look at some of his videos, sort of his coverage of where the water went, and that's, as I said, that's the piece that changed my mind. Who's taken the water kind of thing. It was a really good piece of investigative journalism. You cannot take that away from him. He interviewed people. He went to sources. He traced down. He did the work of a journalist. And as far as I'm concerned, or as far as I know, he did it with integrity. He didn't try to color it. He didn't try to bias it. It was just that kind of thing. So I would class yes, like, you know, I mean, if you consider some of the idiots on Sky News and Fox News journalists, you would have to consider him a journalist. I'm sorry, you would, because some of the crap that they produce is absolute garbage, and at least he is doing actual stories.
Did nothing. Well, they didn't do nothing. Do you want to know what they actually did? They defended Mahmoud Fazal. They defended this man with his self-advertised gangster history and disproof against him, who slanderously claimed that Kate McClymont's article on the...
In a police statement, Lanka said that the ABC reporter revealed he'd been summoned to a meeting in January with his underworld contacts. I had a guy who just got out of prison for attempted murder basically tell me what I need to do, Fazal allegedly told Lanka. So basically, this is a journalist working for one of the most prestigious institutions, right? Like, this is the ABC, the Australian Broadcasting Corporation, is like the PBS, right? Like, it is a independent but government funded media outlet. It is the people's media outlet, basically. It is the most prestigious channel in Australia. Yeah, Blaster, that's basically... I wouldn't say he was more goofy. He was more sensationalist kind of thing. I remember he once dressed up as Mario and tried to bust in on this politician's speech kind of thing. Like, yeah, a little bit goofy, I guess, if, you know, now that I come to say it. But he has been doing serious work. He has. Okay? Like, definitely has been doing revealing, and obviously he has scared somebody, right? He has scared somebody because they firebombed his house. Okay? This doesn't happen if you're just being goofy on the internet. Or if you are, I dread to think of what you've done, right? Some organized crime organization, like some underground organization, actually paid somebody to take a bottle of petrol, light it up, and throw it at his house. You know, this is not the actions of, you know, somebody. Look, yeah, absolutely, I agree with you, mate. I agree with you. Yes. Yeah, we're all young. We've all done terrible content. I've done terrible content. It's okay. But he does do interesting stories. He does. He does. So I would categorize him as a journalist. You know, and this guy brags about his past criminal record. He has ties to the Alameddine crime family. He basically apparently in his police statement, Lanka said that this is Lanka, another reporter. I mean, this is hearsay, but allegedly, according to the ABC reporter, this guy is summoned to the crime family, and, you know, he has been taking orders from them and passed on death threats for them. Look, at that point, if you're a reporter, right, and you go to a meeting, okay, you may need to meet the criminal element if that's what you're covering. You cover it and you get told, hey, go tell this person that. The first stop you should have is the fucking police, right? You should go to the police and say, hey, this person... Like, you cannot be a reporter and cover up crimes, much less participate in them. I mean, come on. Titan, you've never done good content either. You've never done any good content in your life. Yeah, I guess, you know, you're a glass half full kind of guy. I get you. Yeah, we just called the firebomb, basically. I mean, yeah. A Molotov cocktail. Yeah, basically. I mean, I presume that's what happened. I just, yeah.
Threats that he passed on were based on, how's this? Ethnic stereotyping, and the self-proclaimed greatest, most hard-nosed investigative journalist in the country believed him.
Yeah, so he was not disciplined or taken to account in any way because they basically said, well, it could be seen as racist. I don't care who you are. If you're passing on if you're passing on messages from a literal crime syndicate, it shouldn't matter. It shouldn't matter who your what your race is, what your ethnic background is. It shouldn't matter.
Assure you that absolutely nothing in Kate McClymont's article is incorrect. And considering McClymont's track record, it would take a very creative, brave, or perhaps just in way too deep ABC management type to chuck an Eddie O bead and dismiss serious allegations as simply racist stereotype.
He did not know all of his son's businesses. It's really weird how ridiculous this is. And Kate McClymont is the one that he's talking about. She is an excellent journalist. Excellent. And, you know, Geordie's is singing her praises. I would as well. She is excellent. And they're basically just ignoring her and taking the word of the guy that is associated with this underground criminal network. It is ludicrous. And they're basically taking his word based upon nothing more than the fact that it would be against somebody of a different ethnic background. That's terrible, right? That is terrible. Because, oh yeah, if this was out of the blue, I get what you're saying. But there is a police investigation for having the guy's house firebombed, right? His house burnt down. This isn't out of the blue.
But it looks like that's what happened. The ABC were even offered multiple times hard documentary evidence to back up McClymont's claims, should they want to investigate these serious allegations, evidence that they refused to even look at. In light of, I have to stress, grave allegations, death threats from one of their reporters. Which brings us to now, where even more damning news about Mahmoud Fazal is coming out, news that, to be honest, is really scaring me.
Yeah, so they have credible allegations of misconduct by one of their journalists. They have a police investigation ongoing. They have one of their own, like this other reporter, basically show that, hey, there was this happened. When the police go to see him, he declines to. He just basically says, "Yeah, I'm not going to comment on that." And instead of basically, going, "Hey, we better investigate this guy in our ranks with credible allegations against him," and refusing to help the police, they go, "No, that's fine. We wouldn't want to be seen as racist." Are you serious? Like, I get that, hey, we can't just look at everybody with the lens of oh, well, that person's this ethnic background or this race, they've got to be involved with crime. Like, I get that. But when you have other evidence, for Christ's sake, you can't just rule somebody out because of their race either. I'm sorry. You can't. It's ridiculous. Oh, hello there, Aunt Jer. Well, I forgot to say hello to you, so hello. Hello, left-handed Jedi. Robin's here. Hey, Robin. Yeah, so this is something I saw, for those coming in late, Tilting Windmill. Hey. I'm having a great day, thank you. And Deviant, you are a gem and an absolute awesome person. So good to see you. Sauna is good. Wow, dang. But yeah, this is the craziness of it. And the police seem to have been, I'm not going to say what they've been doing, I wouldn't speak for the police, but they seem to have been, at least according to him and presumably a lot of other reporters, that they've been dragging their feet on this one, and I don't know why.
First, he was in the news over a lover's quarrel with his now former podcast host, independent reporter Ryan Nemenko, a man with a similar story to Fazal, as he describes himself as part journalist, part outlaw. This was covered by Media Watch, but to quickly explain, Fazal and Nemenko started a podcast. Fazal, when getting permission for this podcast from the ABC, reportedly told his executive producer that it was unpaid. Nemenko claims that when it came to payment, Fazal and a man who had been the subject of Fazal's Four Corners stories in the past, former cocaine dealer Ben Aitken, demanded cash from Nemenko.
Jeez, that's a scary looking individual, right? That is a scary looking man. I want to know, what do you have written on his head?
Nemenko, a man with a similar story to Fazal, as he describes himself as part journalist, part outlaw.
Yeah, and these are journalists that say they were part of the underground crime fabric of Australia. They proudly boast of it. So it's not like there isn't any connection between them and these people.
This was covered by Media Watch, but to quickly explain, Fazal and Nemenko started a podcast. Fazal, when getting permission for this podcast from the ABC, reportedly told his executive producer that it was unpaid. Nemenko claims that when it came to payment, Fazal and a man who had
Kill all rats, tattooed on his forehead. Okay. Kill all rats, tattooed on his fucking forehead. Yeah, okay. Hey, I wish him the best. I hope his life gets better. Because seriously, my guy.
been the subject of Fazal's Four Corners stories in the past, former cocaine dealer Ben Aitken demanded cash from Nemenko immediately. This really pissed off Nemenko. Anyway, you can watch the Media Watch episode on the beef if you want the details of Fazal's denials of demanding cash for the podcast, and then the text and bank details released by Nemenko, which appear to contradict those denials. Why is this interesting? Check the front page of the Sydney Morning Herald. Nemenko has provided what he claims are further texts between himself and Fazal, in which Fazal says, quote, "F Geordies and his people, they're dogs, I want to kill him so bad."
Yeah, so this is a journalist, right? Like, this is the journalist that passed on the death threats, and basically someone's released text messages between him and another person that he had a beef with, he had a bust up with over this podcast, basically saying, "I want to kill him so bad." Don't forget, this is a guy who has had his house firebombed.
Yeah. The man who I know for a fact said he was meeting with organised crime figures in order to ascertain what message to send to me from them, the man who ABC and police failed to investigate, is now reported to have said he wants to kill me. So bad. There's more in these text chains, which is just as damning. But before I get into them, I want to note that as reported by Kate McClymont, Fazal has claimed that one of the text messages is fabricated and the others merely taken out of context.
What context could you, like, you know, it's been fabricated? Okay. But shouldn't you be investigating this? Shouldn't you, as the ABC, as the most respected channel in Australia, be, you know, go, hey, you have to cooperate with the police at this point. You have to go give them a statement. You have to turn over your phone. Like, this is the thing that kills people's faith in journalism and institutions, right? Because you've got a guy who apparently, allegedly, he has been open about having a relationship with criminal organizations in the past. There has been substantive allegations, allegedly, according to Jordan Shanks, there has been substantial allegations that he has met with these people, passed along death threats to Jordan Shanks. I mean, I can slow it down if you want. That's fine if you can't understand. I tell you what, I'll slow it down because this is important. So he's passed along messages from criminal organizations to Jordan Shanks, death threats, and now his ex-podcaster has allegedly released texts that have him saying that he wanted to kill Jordan Shanks so bad. And he says, oh, it's been falsified and it's been taken out of context, mate. No. At that point, they should be investigating.
Now, just to editorialise a little, knowing a bit about the background of this story, it would have taken a very sophisticated writer with insider knowledge of the entire situation and a deep grasp of Fazal's pros to fake any of these messages. Having seen the original chains, it's very difficult to see how these could possibly even be taken out of context. Plus, even if just some of these texts are real, as Fazal himself has now implied, that's enough of an indictment on Fazal and the ABC in of itself. I also want to add that Fazal has denied allegations in the past that I know are quantifiably true, backed up by text. One that springs to mind instantly is passing on threats for organised crime.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not so allegedly it's not the first time he's done this. It's not the first time.
That I know are quantifiably true, backed up by text. One that springs to mind.
Yeah. So award-winning journalist Mahmoud Fazal. Oh dear. So is like this is the problem when you have somebody who relies on um relies on their connections to the underworld in order to get their stories. Um you know, how much does he rely on them to get their stories, and how much is he investigating them? How much crime does he know that happens that he doesn't report? I don't know. I'm not insinuating anything. I'm not making any accusations at all. I'm just saying this is a problem when you have journalists that rely on people who commit crimes for their stories, and interview them and things like that. This is a problem. This is a real problem. And sort of, you know, people have gone to the police about it. Why they haven't subpoenaed, you know, or investigated and found the phone records, found the criminal records, found, you know, all of the messages sent, it is beyond me. Beyond me. You're watching MasterChef Australia and contestant describing a knife accident he had in the kitchen. I thought he was saying he was wearing nice shoes, but it's no shoe. Okay. He dropped a knife on his shoe. Oh, that's rough. Look, the Australian accent can be a little bit to get used to, but it's fine. It's fine. It's a learning. It open your minds and your you know horizons kind of thing. No, come on. It's a lovely accent. It's lovely.
Instantly is passing on threats for organised crime. Compound that with his denials and then the contradictions of those denials with evidence detailed in the latest media watch, and I really don't trust his word. At all. So let's see what the chain said. Some context, the day earlier I released this video about the conviction of Toofy whatever his name is for firebombing my house.
Yeah, it was Toofy Jr. Something or other. Toofy Jr. Toys Aula. Who assisted in a targeted attack in 2022. He was used as muscle for third parties. Who are the third parties? That's the question that people are asking right now. Who are the third? Like, it's like saying, oh, well, he's a hitman. He was working on someone's behalf. Are you going to look at who that someone is? Nah, 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 mate. It's not really worth it. Not really worth our time to find out who actually paid the guy. Like, seriously. I don't understand it. And like I've said, okay, I don't know the case, right? Like you know, I would put it down. Friendly Jordies is the victim of this crime. He should be apprised of what's happening in the case. So I would trust his word that, hey, nothing's been told to him what's going on. Apparently they've just convicted this guy and that's it. You know, that's all. Um, I would hope that the police are investigating but not making it public because they don't want to tip off whoever they're investigating to try and find out who paid this guy. Having said that, when the police are doing that, they should tell the victim that's what they're doing. And Friendly Jordies is the victim. And he seems to have no idea. So I don't know what's going on. I really don't. Probably a whole load of incompetence, I would say, if I know anything about the New South Wales Police Force. And maybe it is weaponized incompetence. Now, I don't know that for sure. It is pure opinion and speculation. I've got no idea. I'm not insinuating nor stating anything as fact that New South Wales Police are not investigating this because they have had run-ins with Friendly Jordies before. What run-ins, you might ask? Okay. So, as I said, Friendly Jordies used to have a past of going and hassling politicians, right? There was one guy, Bruz. His name was Bruz. I can't remember his full name because no one remembers his full name. But basically, he Barilaro was his name. There you go. John Barilaro, and he kind of mocked and followed him around a lot and did things like, as I said, dressed up as Mario and tried to crash one of his sort of interviews with the news. Now, the police basically got in something called the Fixated Persons Unit. Why you would do this for a YouTuber when it's designed to stop people who are trying to attack movie stars or trying to, hug Twitch streamers, for instance. That's what the unit's designed to do. I don't know. But he seemed to be singled out by a politician, and the weight of the police force used against him as a fixated person. He wasn't fixated. He was a YouTuber doing what a YouTuber does when they have political content. That and, for instance, someone with a megaphone yelling at a politician, there's no difference, right? It's just that Jordan Shanks was very successful at what he did. That's all. So they got this unit onto him and got the police involved, and they basically treated him as a criminal for simply, doing content that made a politician look foolish. He made Bruz look like an idiot. That seemed to be his crime in that one, and the police investigated him and did all kinds of things. So there has been a history of antagonism between Jordan Shanks and the New South Wales Police. I don't think that's contentious. I think that's very straightforward. I am not insinuating nor stating anything as fact. I would expect the police, regardless of their prior history with anybody, to do a professional and thorough investigation. And it is my opinion, just my opinion, that if they are not investigating who paid for this firebombing, that they are not doing a thorough and independent investigation, a professional investigation.
Made this oblique reference to Fazal. Why do the Alameddines, an organised crime gang, give so much access to certain ABC journalists? Why is the ABC so ardent in defending these certain journalists? In response, Nemenko has claimed that he and Fazal had this exchange. Ryan Nemenko, we all sweet to do Ep 2, or has that issue with Shanks rattled ya? If you did what you did, just f***ing own it.
Yeah, so this is Ryan Nemenko, right? Give me 1 second. So Ryan Nemenko is basically a sort of an infamous figure in underground crime, like an underworld crime kind of guy, right? So he's basically saying, are we okay to do episode 2? Because this journalist, Fazal, is doing episodes with him, like sort of in interviewing them for, this is inside the dark world of underground crime kind of thing, right? So he's basically asking the journalist, okay, so this isn't the journalist saying, hey, as Jordan, has Shanks rattled you, as in the crime figure? The crime figure's asking the journalist, we all sweet to do episode 2, or is that issue with Shanks rattled you? Right? And if you did what you did, just fucking own it. What did he do? What did he do? I don't know. But shouldn't the police be investigating that? Absolutely. Absolutely.
Why lie never ends well, brother. Mahmoud Fazal. F*** Geordies and his people, they're dogs. I want to kill him so bad. Right?
This is a journalist, right? This is allegedly, according to the release of this to other people, this is allegedly, so this is his podcaster friend releasing this. The podcaster friend released these messages. This is a journalist. This is an award-winning ABC journalist allegedly saying that he wants to kill him. A YouTube journalist.
Nemenko, are you f***ing serious? Over something you didn't do? Leave it. It's not your place. Mahmoud Fazal. Bro, Alameddines still want to hit me. I need to make up to him with this pod and we will kill it. Better.
Yeah. So the weird thing. This is the weird thing, right? This is the weird thing. That you have Ryan Nomenko, who's a former podcast host and sort of this sort of infamous sort of underground figure, and this was his podcast friend. Like, he started up a podcast with this guy, right? So he's saying, "Hey, leave it alone," to this award-winning ABC journalist who's saying, "I want to kill him." Like, and the other guy's going, why are you even bothering with this?
Him than me, but him. We should do a pod on that and get my story out. Ryan Nomenko.
So I don't know why. Like, he's saying that the Alameddines still want to hit me. The Alameddine crime family is pretty well known in Australia. I don't know what he means by that. I don't know the context. It's wild.
And we will kill it. Better him than me, but him. We should do a pod on that and get my story out. Ryan Nomenko. Nah, leave it. It's not worth it. Seriously, Geordie's is a nerd, bro. He's not part of OC. That's organised crime. Why hit a house over a story? It's you should know how bad it was when I had to cop all that shit.
Yeah, so basically it's like, yes, Geordie's is a nerd. Yes, he is a nerd. Yes, absolutely. But he's not part of organised crime. So they're talking about that Geordie's isn't some underworld figure you can just hit, and the police go, "Oh, well, it's crime, it's gang violence," kind of thing. And they're right. He isn't some kind of underworld figure. If he gets attacked, people are going to say, "Hey, someone wants to shut him up." And apparently, allegedly, and in my opinion, it is this journalist that basically wants to get rid of him. This is a journalist. What the hell? This is a journalist who the ABC allegedly refused to investigate because they thought it might look bad, because they're investigating someone who with an ethnic sort of, Middle Eastern background. It might look racist. I'm really sorry, but no. You can't just go, like, a dude's house has been firebombed.
Just leave it. I'm not willing to speak about it because, let's be real, you sent the f***ing threats. They f***ed you. Mahmoud Fazal. Nah, he has to get what he gets. He's a dog. Ratted me to Jax.
Yeah, so here is his podcast co-host basically saying, "You sent the fucking threats. They fucked you." Right? Nah, he has to get what he... This is a journalist talking. It's wild.
Jax means police. Now, I want to be fair here. Mahmoud, can you tell me which one of these texts is out of context?
Yeah.
Keep in mind, I have a bunch of screenshots of the original chains. Was "make it up to the Alameddines with a podcast" out of context? Do elaborate on how. I'd love to hear it, because if it's not out of context, if organised crime has a man in four corners, supposedly the most prestigious investigative journalism institution in Australia, if...
He's not wrong about that. Four Corners is supposed to be one of the most prestigious investigative journalist institutions in Australia. And so what appears to have happened, and this is just my opinion, what appears to have happened is that this journalist has passed on threats from the Alameddine crime family to Jordan Shanks. Jordan Shanks has gone to the police over it, and he's been angry about that. Mate, you should have gone to the police. You should have. It's ridiculous. Like, seriously. Or told the Alameddine crime family, "Look, I cannot pass on any threat," and why, if they're threatening to kill somebody, why are you still hanging around them at that point? Like, seriously. At that point, you're not investigating them, you're collaborating with them. In my opinion, that's what you're doing. Yeah, that's where I first saw it, Phantom. That's when I first saw it. And I wanna have a talk about this, because look, I'm not a big fan of Geordie's, right? As I said before, I think he's done some pretty immature stuff. I think he's done some very good work on things, right? I have a mixed opinion of Geordie's. Not my favorite YouTuber. I don't really care one way or another. It doesn't matter, right? I could absolutely hate Jordan Shanks to the very level of my internal being, right? I could loathe him completely. He shouldn't get his fucking house firebombed and threats made against his life by an ABC journalist of all people. That shouldn't happen. There's people on Sky News I cannot stand. They don't get their houses firebombed and they don't get threats made about them. Right? This is intimidation of a journalist who did a story about the crime family, allegedly, that the Alameddine crime family, that another ABC award-winning journalist on the most prestigious show, their relationship with one another, and he's passing on threats for them. No, absolutely not. This is ridiculous. So yeah, I saw Charlie talking about it, Phantom. I did see Charlie talking about it, but I did want to watch the entire thing and give my take, because this is fucking ridiculous. This is absolutely ridiculous. As an Australian and a guy on YouTube, I might add, the fact that they are not taking this seriously enough, like this is a threat on a journalist. No, this is bullshit, quite frankly. He's not just, you can't just treat him as, oh, he's just a guy on YouTube, just doing a few little things, just wearing his YouTube pants and sauntering around and doing TikTok dances. No. This is intimidation of a journalist as far as I'm concerned.
Their guy has fooled, well, I was going to say the smartest investigative journalist in the country, but let's be honest. If you can't follow up on an offer for evidence as a journalist, you're atrocious. But if organised crime has a guy in the ABC, I have very little doubt that a sprawling institution such as the New South Wales Police has been compromised to some degree. I'd love to be proven wrong. So please, New South Wales Police, can you make a substantial arrest? It's actually unbelievable that after 3 years you have no one. There is something really weird going on. There's also more tech.
Okay, so I don't know the state of the investigation. I think that Jordan here, I cannot even imagine how frustrated I would be if my house was firebombed. 3 years later, they say, hey, we got the guy. He was working as hired muscle. And you say, well, who was he working for? And they go, I would be pissed too, all right? I would be pissed too. As I said before, what I hope is that they are keeping their suspicions on the down low while they investigate who this guy was working for. And considering he got like 5 years and could be out very soon. Don't forget, it was 3 years ago. So he got something like 5 years, okay? And with parole, he could be out very, very soon. If he isn't cooperating and giving up who paid him, then he needs a much stricter sentence. He needs a huge sentence. They need to find out who paid this guy. And if he's not cooperating, he should have got way more. What I hope is that the sentence reflected him cooperating with the police, and the police not saying who they're investigating, because that would be incredibly stupid for them to say who they're investigating while they do it, right? But in that case, you would tell the victim. You would tell the victim that they're investigating and trying to track down who actually paid them. And obviously Geordie doesn't know that, right? So either one, they haven't communicated with the victim like the current status of the case. Number one, that's fucking incompetent. Quite frankly, that's incompetent. Number two, they're just not investigating who paid the guy, which is ridiculous. You know, that is absolutely ridiculous. That is criminally incompetent. So there's an adage that says sort of never attribute to malice what could be accommodated for by incompetence. So I would lean towards that the police haven't told him because they're investigating him. But, you know, after 3 years, it's just, wow.
Mahmoud Fazal. Yes, last 5 seconds. Why do certain journalists get access to the Alameddines? Ryan Nemenko. See, he's a sly dog. Mahmoud Fazal. And he has my story behind him. He's a fucking rat. Ryan Nemenko. Yeah, bro. Bad. Now, in the wake of these leaks, Mahmoud is desperately trying to...
He's a slide on my story behind him. He's a fucking
bad.
rat.
Now,
you know, considering he's, like, interviewing people... Like, this is how scary this is, right? This is scary as shit. Because you've got a journalist that has links to the Alameddine crime family that, or in the past, allegedly, has had links to the Alameddine crime family, has allegedly made threats towards him, or at least passed on threats from that crime family to him, has said allegedly in text that he wants to kill him, and he's a rat, and he has interviewed people with "kill all rats" tattooed on their fucking forehead. Like, are you serious? Wow. Like, that's the thing. You know, okay, I'm not a lawyer. This is not legal advice. But if I can give one piece of advice, don't threaten to kill anybody, ever, anywhere. Like, not in messages, not in emails, not in anything. Okay? If it's a joke, make sure the context is clear that it's a joke, because this is the kind of stuff that can be used against you. Now, I'm not a lawyer. That is not legal advice. It's just fucking common sense. But seriously, this guy is a problem. It's a problem.
In the wake of these leaks, Mahmoud is desperately trying to paint Nemenko as a dishonest actor, stating in an email to the Sydney Morning Herald, Ryan Nemenko has a criminal history, a history of harassment, and a documented record of dishonesty. As a journalist, you should know that background is material when assessing his reliability and motives as your source. How does he not see how hypocritical that is? Mahmoud, didn't you claim McClymont was relying on your background to stereotype you when she relied entirely on hard evidence for her claims?
Yeah, and this is the problem. You've got this journalist relying on very good investigative journalism, hard evidence, all of this stuff, and he's basically, or the ABC, I should say rather, allegedly has just said, "Hey, we don't want to investigate him because that's you know, prejudiced and racist and bigoted." Where is the bigotry? Where? She never relied on that. She never said, hey, because of, you know, she's relying on hard evidence. Yeah, damn right. I'll make you a believer. I told you. You're a heretic. They're Dooners. All right, Dooners.
Now you're relying solely on Nemenko's background to refute text chains, some of which you yourself have tacitly admitted were real, just out of context. Again, how? What's the context in which any of this is okay? Please enlighten us.
Well, the thing is, if you have a former podcast co-host, right? You have a former podcast co-host with this guy show texts that this happened, why aren't the police going to him and saying, hey, can we have your phone? Because this guy obviously wants to screw over Fazal, right? Mahmoud Fazal, who is the journalist that Jordan Shanks is saying, hey, he has passed on threat. Like, this phone is evidence it should be investigated. And if his co-host has had a beef with him and they've had a falling out, I mean, he'd be happy to provide it to the police. So why haven't they gone and fucking got it? Why not? They have his name. He's a prominent figure. He does podcasts. You know, your average person on the street can find this. Incredible.
Plus, you have provided no hard evidence to the contrary. Just Nemenko's background. That's not fair on Nemenko. Furthermore, if Nemenko was a liar, if he had...
Yeah, so Nemenko is the co-host who's angry with the journalist, right, over this podcast, and you've said, oh, he's got a history of lying. Well, if he's not trustworthy, why were you doing work with him? I don't understand that at all. Hey, Tori, so good to see you. So good to see you, Tori. I've noticed you popping up everywhere. You're such a pleasant thing to see in the chat, I must say.
As, in your words, a criminal history, a history of harassment, and a documented record of dishonesty, why start a business with him? Why start a journalistic endeavour with him?
Yeah. So he's basically saying, hey, he can't be trusted. He's a liar. He's not trustworthy at all. So we're not gonna believe him. Your journalist started a podcast with the guy. Seriously.
Where the sole purpose should be to expose the truth. But I guess if those character traits are good enough for the ABC, they're good enough for Fazal. Seriously, this really needs to be emphasised because this is so damning, and not just Fazal, but the entire ABC as an institution. What is a Four Corners journalist doing, passing on threats to other journalists and demanding cash from this person? And why did it take until now for the ABC to even acknowledge that that might be a problem?
That's incredible. And this is the most respected journalistic institution in Australia. And Four Corners is probably the most respected show on that channel. Absolutely ridiculous.
Mahmood has more to say about me. I don't know why he's crying. Seriously. Comes with the territory. You want to shit on gangsters and make fun of them in your video. Ryan Nemenko. Ha 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 ha. That's what I said watching it. Mahmood Fazal. The world's not your little bubble on the internet. Bro, this fell off hard. His videos are getting 100 to 150k roughly. I wonder if this video will get more than 150.
Yeah. So he's basically going, it comes with the territory. Snitches get stitches, right? Right? He revealed what was happening in the world of crime. What did he expect? No, motherfucker, that's not how it works, right? Like the bubble here is them in their criminal underground bubble thinking that they can dictate to the rest of society to shut up and accept their crime. But what is really worrying about this? What is really worrying about this is that if these messages are in fact true, then he thinks that any journalist exposing the actions of a crime family, it just goes with the territory, that they should just be attacked. That's fine. You know, what did you expect if you reveal and laugh at gangsters? The one in the bubble is them, right? They think that, hey, if you snitch, you get stitches, right? Like, you just should accept that. No, we don't fucking accept that. The society doesn't accept that. That is not how this works. If you're breaking the law, the person who reveals that you're breaking the law shouldn't get in trouble for it. Shouldn't have the actions of unlawful people against them. No, that isn't how this works. You're in a bubble where you think that snitches get stitches and it's your right to do so. Police would disagree. If you're doing something wrong and you attack the person reporting you, That doesn't, like, that is not how society is supposed to work. No. No, absolutely not. Fuck these guys, seriously. I cannot say how disappointed I am that an ABC award-winning journalist is allegedly saying this kind of stuff. And I have words for the ABC. If they think that their journalists should be chatting with their podcaster saying snitches get stitches. All right, good night, Al.
50k. Let's see. Why am I crying? Firebombing comes with the territory? Yeah, I guess it does come with my territory, my reporting, but certainly not yours, Mahmood. The only time you piss off organised crime figures is by accident, when your attempts at jobs and favours to make up to them blow up in everyone's faces. Look at Mahmoud Fazal's repertoire of reporting. I can't think of one instance in which his access to these crime figures has produced anything revelatory or negative about organised crime. He's never revealed any political connections, never any strange financial deals, any malfeasance that the authorities failed to pick up on. He's not an investigative reporter. He makes Gardening Australia or Woman's Weekly style interviews for crims. It doesn't even expose.
Yeah. I can't say I disagree. Looking over this guy's stuff, this is the latest by Mahmoud Fazal. Sovereign citizen is no longer fringe since the pandemic. Yeah. I don't see. Yeah, so man behind anti-Semitic attacks. I don't. I mean, he does some of this stuff. You'll get rolled inside dark and dangerous crystal meth supply chain. Whoops. Wow, okay. I didn't realize they would be so blunt about it. Holy crap. Wow. And they're blaming the triads? Okay. So I don't see where. I'm sure he does other stories, but you know, this is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. Sorry about that, peeps. If you ever wondered how smoke crack or meth, that's how. So, wild, right?
Anything or past the basic fundamentals of what journalism supposedly is, which is a quest for the truth. Showing a bunch of crims talking about how honourable they are and how they never break codes. All criminals break the code. They're all ratting on each other all the time. If you're in a milieu where murder is commonplace, a milieu where the only abiding principle is amorality for financial gain, who's seriously dumb enough to buy the idea that there's a code that people follow? But that's the point. His reporting serves as a purpose to enforce the convenient myths around organised crime in Australia.
Well, so there may very well be a code, right? Like, this is the thing. I would disagree with Jordan Shanks on this. Just because people eschew the laws doesn't mean they don't have their own code of conduct with various rules associated with it. I look, I think, yeah, I don't think they're ratting on each other all the time. I think there's repercussions for that. But he isn't part of that underground society. I think that Nemenko had it right. He's not sort of organized crime. Jordan is just a YouTuber. You can't go, well, he has to follow our code. No, he doesn't. Absolutely not. And I do not know why the police have not come down like a ton of bricks, because they are basically going after a guy simply for reporting on their crimes. That's it.
To keep the right people afraid and the right people impressed by these gross displays of violence, it's very clear in this where Fazal's sympathy lies. It's sympathy for criminals, sympathy for murderers, sympathy for traffickers, sympathy for business, taking our tax money to try and sell the Australian public the fiction that wealthy crime magnates are some sort of downtrodden, forgotten people, forced into poverty, into crime, and picked on by the Australian establishment. When any shred of investigative reporting would reveal that in Australia these figures are wealthy and exploitative entrepreneurs fueled not by desperation but a deep culture of familial amoralism. The leaders of these groups are not ostracized.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah, I mean the Alameddine crime family, very, very famous. I don't think they're doing it hard. I don't think, you know, this sort of story as in, oh, it's a Robin Hood of underground figure. It appeals to Australians because of convict history, because of things like the Eureka Stockade, the idea that that's just, you know, hard-working people who are, you know, breaking the law, trying to get some bread in their mouth. That is not the reality of the situation. These people are very wealthy, very well connected. You know, selling that image of, well, we're just struggling and, you know, we're just trying to get ahead No, I do agree with George. I disagree with him in a little bit, but he's not wrong about that. I don't know how Fazal portrays them. I have not really looked into him before I saw this story. So I don't know how he portrays them, but from a cursory glance, and that's just a cursory glance, it is the sort of interview with a guy who was in the underworld and everything, but I don't know.
By Sydney's establishment, but are in fact increasingly ingratiated with them, welcomed with open arms. It's not anti-establishment or brave to celebrate millionaires just because they made their millions screwing over people outside of the law. It's adolescent as hell, and it's an indictment on the ABC and the Gen X managers there who are so out of touch, so desperate for younger viewers, that they desecrated an already anemic Four Corners, forcing it to produce crime porn, slop, propaganda slop, tailor-made for organised crime. Make an arrest, you cowards.
Yeah, so this is, I understand why Geordies is angry, but this is sort of the thing that it kind of goes off the rails. And I understand why he's so angry, because if my place got firebombed, I'd be bloody furious. I would be bloody furious. I get you, mate. I really do. He's mad as a cut snake, and I understand why. Because he had his neighbours firebombed when they got the wrong address. So not only are they criminals, they're incompetent criminals, maybe the worst kind. Then they firebombed his place to try and get him to shut up. And they seem to be protected from the consequence because the police, as he said, a journalist did more work getting information about this than the police did. I don't know if that's true or not, but if it's true, it's fucking shameful. Absolutely shameful. And look, Geordies makes these rants. Can't say I blame him. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter who you are. If you go onto YouTube and talk about crime happening and you're attacked by the criminals, the person protected should be the fucking YouTuber. Not the people, not the criminals, and I might add, the associates they have working in journalism, allegedly. Okay? You shouldn't have to fear that if you talk about crime on YouTube, that you're going to get a visit from the criminals. No way, mate. No way. No way. He didn't sign up for your criminal code. He didn't log on to that and go, hey, yeah, I agree. No, absolutely not. This is ridiculous. Yeah, okay. So they did make an arrest, but it was on the guy who took money to execute the plan. The hired help. The hired help. Seriously, mate, you got to find who paid him. Like 100%. And if he's not cooperating, you know, impeding investigation, what have you. I think that this is ridiculous situation. And it gets me because I'm a YouTuber. I have opinions online. I shine a light on some things. Yeah, it's usually around religion. But if I make fun of religion, does that mean that a bunch of people can firebomb my place and then go, well, that's what you get? No, fuck no. No. If I suddenly said, hey, there's this crime family that I'm aware of, they're doing X, Y, and Z, should it be expected that I get attacked? No. Absolutely not. What the fuck? And it reminds me of there are these people out there who seem to be, psychotic. Like, I mean, who was it? Andrew Wilson. I said, hey, stop being racist. Like, I'm streaming this to YouTube. It's against YouTube terms of service. I will report this. And he's like, snitches get stitches. It's your fault for pointing out my bad behavior. Seriously? You want to do something wrong and then blame me when I out your bad behavior? What the fuck? No. This whole culture of snitches get stitches is bullshit. Okay? It's bullshit. It's people trying to silence those who are basically telling the truth about wrongful actions. And let's face it, that big orange fucktard in the White House is the most egregious author of all. Right? He will punish people. He's in the process of punishing people like Comey, people like Tish James, sorry. I mean, it's ridiculous. The people that investigated him, these are the actions of criminals, in my opinion. People that go, hey, I'm going to punish you for reporting the bad shit that you saw. It's a problem at the moment. We do not protect whistleblowers, and we need to. Sorry, was that my thing? I'm do apologize if I did use that. I do apologize. Yeah, I do apologize, Titan. I didn't mean to. I just got really angry because, he's an Australian. Look, Jordan Shanks, not the biggest fan. He's an Australian. He's a YouTuber. Even if he wasn't in the same sort of sphere as I was, and even if he wasn't Australian, this is still bullshit. But the fact that if I, as a YouTuber, went, hey, I'm aware of this crime family, I'm going to make fun of them for being incompetent at their crime, and I'm going to point out where they've criming, I shouldn't go, well, if I get firebombed, it's my fault. No. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Okay, Ask Clown is good. Yeah, gotcha. Orange Shit Gibbon. Okay, I will remember that. Again, I do apologize. It just, that man, what really annoys me about that man is currently the government is on shutdown. SNAP benefits are about to end 1st of November. Don't ask me how I know this, okay? I've just watched way too much about this because I am genuinely concerned. I am genuinely concerned for my American, my US brothers and sisters who are really, really suffering, and they look like they're going to suffer more. It makes me angry, okay? There's people not being paid, workers for the federal government, so many of them not being paid. Food bank lines are stretching. We have not seen this level of lack of food since, the Great Depression, the Dust Bowl, and stuff like that. Trump is over in Asia, out of the country, feasting it up with international dignitaries and doing his stupid dance. I don't know how anybody can see this and go, yeah, that's my guy. And the most frustrating thing about it is that Mike Johnson doesn't need Trump's approval to make a deal and get this resolution passed. He doesn't need a deal with the president. He doesn't need the president's approval. He doesn't. Right? He doesn't. He can just make a deal with the Democrats and pass things by himself. He doesn't need the president's okay to do this, but he won't. And my concern is, what I'm really, really, really worried about is that Trump is going to screw the entire country, make it impoverished, make people absolutely desperate and starving, and then circumvent the law to do whatever he wants, take control in a totalitarian way, and rely on people being so desperate that they just accept it. That's my worry. That this is a weaponized starvation of the people in order to accept totalitarian rule. That's my concern. I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I hope that people realize that if Trump circumvents the law to fix this shutdown and deadlock, that he's the one that created the problem in order to do exactly that. To do exactly that. I hope they realize that he's creating the problem in order to fix it. And Trump has a long history of doing that, in my opinion. He basically creates problems, then fixes them, and then says, well, look at me. How awesome am I? That's my worry, that's what he's doing. That he wants, like, you got to wonder how somebody can take the economy under Biden and trash it so badly. Like, so incredibly badly. I mean, it had high inflation, but the economy was doing really well. How you can take that and absolutely destroy it. And so I got to thinking, what if, and this is just my opinion, what if it is intentional? It is intentional, right? That's my opinion. But if it's intentional and he wants to make people absolutely desperate, why is that? It's so he can ride in and rescue them. At the same time, overthrowing all of the constraints on his power, because he's got to say, and he'll do it under the guise of saving the people. Saving the people. Without them realizing and waking up to the fact that he created the circumstances to be able to do this. It is a problem of his making. But I worry that, you know, with people literally starving and people not having jobs and people getting desperate, that they will applaud him coming in and, you know, overthrowing all of the democratic checks on his power in order to save them. What I worry is that he'll be hailed as this hero coming in to save the people from this system without realizing that he's the one that did it in the first place, with exactly the goal to make people suffer and starve and you know, be desperate enough to turn to him. That it was intentional all along. I hope. And that all is just my opinion, but, you know, anyway, maybe I'm wrong. I hope that I'm wrong. I really hope that I'm wrong. You know, I cannot tell you how much I hope that I'm wrong, but that's what I think. Link to join. But I had to talk about that Geordies thing, and I will be contacting the ABC. Now, apparently it is the most respected channel, journalistic channel and Four Corners, which apparently is the most respected news, program on our station, about why they have somebody making threats as one of their journalists. It's ridiculous. Yeah, no, I hear you. I hear you, Blaster Master. I hear you. Yeah, I do hear you. Well, I think that at a base minimum, we've got to take care of one another. We've got to support one another if you can. It's just like I see Trump at ballrooms and banquets overseas while food lines are starting, like bread lines. Let's call them what they are. They're bread lines. Hello, Blaster Master. How you doing?
Hold on. Good.
Good? Oh, that's good.
Yes, I'm doing well. How are you?
Yeah, I'm not bad. I'm a little bit annoyed today, but that's okay. That's all right. I think there's enough stuff to be annoyed about. And I was going to aimbot, but I'm more than happy to just open up for open conversation as well because, yeah.
Here, let me close my door real quick because my wife
Sure.
is too...
Yeah, I read a paper by your wife once on...
Yeah, you did. Street epistemology, right?
Street epistemology, yes. It was actually really good, although a lot of it I couldn't understand because I didn't have a background in, I believe it was sociology she was talking about, I think. It was a long time ago. It was like a couple of years ago now, I think.
Yeah, that one has been probably 5 years ago, maybe? Something like that.
Was it
4 or
that
5
long?
years ago.
Was it that long? Holy crap. All right, yeah. How do I remember that then? How do I remember any of it then? Damn. All right.
Yeah, I mean, because it was impressionable. Her writing.
It was really good. It was really good. Talking about.
And she had videos and stuff to go along with her writing too.
I didn't see that. All I had.
She did, and she gave a presentation on it, and she had a bunch of videos and stuff to show with it. She gave a couple good presentations on that stuff.
Oh, I think I only got from you the first draft before.
I'll have to ask her if she has one of her.
Oh, that would be great.
On that. And
that would be fantastic.
It's kind of old now and probably outdated by quite a bit, but it's still kind of interesting to watch that. You can also see the progress that we've made since then, I guess, you know what I mean? As far as the street epistemology aspects whole thing goes, right?
Yeah.
I think that's evolved.
Yeah, I mean it will. Anything will evolve, but I mean I'm not really. I mean I don't do street epistemology. It's not
No,
really
I don't think
what
anyone does. I don't think anyone does the strict street epistemology. I guess some people try to, but it's
there was a guy Mara, I can't remember his name. Magnabosco? Yeah, Anthony Magnabosco.
Yeah, Magnabosco. Yeah, that's who my wife worked with him and Peter Boghossian on that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I don't know. I
that was before Boghossian went crazy, just so you guys know.
I don't know who that is. I got to be
Peter Boghossian is the guy that wrote that book, and he turned into a conservative right winger, but he's originally from
he went the Pine Creek route, did he?
Yeah, he went the Pine Creek. Well, that's why Pine Creek went that route, kind of. He followed his.
Oh, really?
Basically, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was like, "Oh, I like that grift. It works." I don't know. I have my thoughts on Pine Creek. I think Pine Creek's a fucking piece of shit.
I have never met him, never engaged with him, haven't really watched his stuff. Okay.
He's about.
Congratulations.
I guess. I know. I'm like, well, back in the day, I liked him because he was he wasn't political, and he just talked to religious people, and that was interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And then he started putting all his conservative politics into the religion, in between the religious stuff or in it, and it was just became all about his politics and not about Christianity or religion or because for me the street epistemology was all about having a way to talk to people where that I wasn't arguing with them.
Yeah.
So I could just have like a conversation and ask them Socratic questions rather than trying to like be like, no, you're wrong, and here are the facts, because that doesn't really convince people.
Well, I think that different people are convinced by different things.
Yeah, you're right.
I may not be sort of engaging in a discussion with people in order to convince them, and rather it is to just just sort of investigate their ideas. I find myself incredibly curious as to epistemology in general. I mean, not street but epistemology, sort of why you believe the things that you
Yeah.
believe. But
How
I'm
did
not
you arrive at the position that you're
right.
at?
Right, but I'm not hesitant to point out where I go, well, I don't think that follows this kind of thing, or I think, that's a slippery slope, or I think that, I don't think this thing equivocates to that thing kind of thing. I'm not hesitant. Where street epistemology, you probably wouldn't be doing that. You probably
Yeah,
would be moving on.
it's very neutral. You try. I mean, I think,
Yeah.
like I said, I think it's evolved a lot too. Like generally, people nowadays are just like, I'm just gonna like use the Socratic method when I need it and just try to have conversations with people. You know what I mean?
Mm. Well, what I don't get about people like that and Pine Creek and all of those kind of things, like what I don't get about that is how they can go to theists, you should listen to science and it is the best methodology and you should use logic and reasoning and the, scientific studies that have been done about these things in order to justify your beliefs. And then when it comes to a right-wing issue like trans, it's like, the scientific studies just fly out the window at that point,
They
and it's
check
just
right
sort of
out.
like, oh, but there's these things in society that rah 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 rah, and it's like, I don't understand how you can say this to theists regarding one topic and then completely ignore it for another. The one that got me most was Derek from Myth Vision,
Oh
right?
yeah. Oh my
Like
god.
him
I feel
coming
you on that
out
one.
and he was saying, oh, they're doing these castrations on children, and it's like,
Bro.
dude, what the hell? Like, are you
Who, where,
serious?
when?
Right, exactly. And it's like,
That's like
we
literally out of the playbook from 1938,
right.
Like,
And I've heard multiple arguments for this. I've heard that, oh, it's the same chemical kind of thing, and it's like,
there
well,
she
hey Amber, it's like,
Hello.
okay,
Hi,
what you've
Amber.
got to understand is that we may use a drug for a certain thing and it has a side effect, right? Like, so we may use a drug and it had a side effect of lessened libido kind of thing, lessened,
Right.
uh, you know,
Lots of things
but
do that.
right. So you may use that drug and be looking to activate that side effect kind of thing, but the dosage will be a lot higher. So the side effect basically will make somebody not want to engage sexually. That doesn't mean that the lower dose is doing the same thing as the higher dose. Like,
Right.
it is so ridiculous.
It's like a
to
composition fallacy.
kind of, yeah.
Or
But it's
false
just a
dichotomy.
basic understanding of medicine that
Yeah, they don't understand
different
that.
dosages have
Dude,
different effects.
oh my god, like the whole like JFK Jr. thing, that guy scares the crap out of me.
As he
RFK
should.
Jr.
Yeah, RFK Jr. Yeah, that guy. Yeah. Sorry.
But
Anyway,
the
I'm glad
thing
you're here, Amber. I'm gonna go to the restroom. I'll be right back.
the thing that scares me the most isn't even that they're doing the craziest things in the upper echelons of government. The scariest thing to me is that they're trying to prevent any kind of reporting or investigation or stats or figures or anything from coming out about the results of their actions. That, to me, is the death of democracy. That is Putin's, idea of a state where you just get told by the state what the figures are, and you damn well better believe it. That to me is the worst thing.
I think the outcomes themselves are the worst thing, but it's one of the bigger red flags of things are very, very bad. Like if they have to hide information, if they have to manufacture, like the labor reports, that's just like literally the tip of the iceberg. It's the part we can see that is a big problem. But there's so much more that no one can see because it's beneath the waters, or beneath the East Wing in this case, whichever.
Yeah. And it's a problem with these sort of governments that if you don't have accurate reporting of how your country is going, you cannot possibly solve problems. You can't possibly do it. Like, I mean, that's the entire reason for those labor statistics reports and things like that. Like, you've got to be able to know where to direct your time, energy, all the management in order to fix any problem. And I don't know. It's wild. It's just wild to me.
Well, sadly, this isn't anything new for the U.S. I remember back when W was president, and we had all the big problems of the wars and the unpleasantness, and he just declared victory. He's just mission accomplished. We did what we came here to do. It's the same sort of thing. It's we're not solving problems because we're just declaring they're not problems anymore.
Right.
But it doesn't actually make things better. But yes, you can't course correct with new policy for problems that no one knows exist because you're hiding the data.
Yep. And that was part of the reason of the pandemic. And it was good to have things like John Hopkins, which independently reported it. But this time they seem to be, cracking down
everything.
on. Yeah, they're trying to crack down on.
Fly. Right?
Well, considering at the moment air traffic controllers aren't being paid, that's a problem. And I mean,
Thanksgiving is coming up and everything. It's like this is the worst time of the year for Americans to like cut their food. Basically, he did it
right
for sure. Yeah, I think it's all about it's all part of the big plan that they're it's on purpose. It's manufactured for sure.
Yeah, it's very much on purpose. It's there's that old saying that the United States is never more than 3 meals away from revolution. They want to test it.
Oh, I don't think that's the case. I think that they will wait for people to get mad and then overthrow all democratic bounds to basically just start up the government with all the power of the purse in the president's hands. And
the White House website, it says that it's like the shutdown is because of Democrats. It's like
because not just because of Democrats, because the Democrats want the illegals to have health care and transgender for everybody.
Right. Everyone needs to be trans, and oh my God.
Jeez. I mean, it's his own fault. He signed an executive order on the first day declaring everyone was either female or gender neutral, depending on your interpretation. Everyone has to be trans now.
Yeah, we're all trans, duh.
Yeah, it's not Democrats. He did that.
Yeah, he did do that. That's true. I remember that shit. That was funny.
Well, I think also the really disappointing thing is that, like I said, Mike Johnson doesn't have to do what Trump wants.
He doesn't have to be a simp.
He doesn't have to. He can just go, look, we're going to meet with Democrats. We're going to come up with make a deal with them and open the government again. None of that needs the president's okay.
Yep.
Unless he wants to veto the agreement, which he,
would be. It's because they don't want to hire the electoral. They don't want to sign in the woman from Arizona, right? Because then she's the final vote on the Epstein files, and then it all goes down.
Well, that's part of it, but I suspect that's more cover than real thing. Johnson has been kind of semi-open in that he hasn't declared it, but he hasn't resisted talking about it, that part of the agenda is to disband Congress, because that way the president has all the power.
Yeah, this is basically the end of, they want to just end Congress altogether.
Right. If Congress self-abolishes, then it's not technically a coup. Technically.
Yeah, so this is like the coup 2.0.
And it's
People don't even see it. They don't even know it's happening.
Yeah, it's a soft-pedaled coup. Like, Congress has never been out of session this long.
Yep.
Ever.
It's scary.
And you've got a representative who's been more than a month after being elected not sworn in, when Mike Johnson can swear her in at any time.
She's from
any time. Right. So you've got an elected representative a month without being sworn in to do work for her constituents, which is just ridiculous.
It's insane.
But that's what I thought, that he wasn't getting Congress together, so to protect for the Epstein files kind of thing. But at the moment, I'm actually leaning towards, in my opinion, and I'm simply speculating, that he wants to make it so bad that when Trump rides in on his pony to save everybody, that they just accept the totalitarian overthrow of the Congress, so
he
that
thinks he's
he
be
can
a
just
savior.
release food, pay people, but not realizing that he's the one that set this up in the first place.
Well, and I think the Americans aren't blind to that. If you look at the polls and everything, everyone realizes that they blame the Republicans for the shutdown. As much as the Republicans are saying it's the Democrats' fault, the Americans aren't buying that.
Yeah, we can be aggressively stupid. We are a stiff-necked people, but even the MAGA people can't deny the Republicans control the entire government.
But they are. That's the problem. The real hardcore MAGA people are going, it's the Democrats' fault because they just parrot what Fox tells them. That it's because they're demanding that they give health care to immigrants, and the Republicans are the noble people standing up for common sense, not to give health care to immigrants and trans people, making everyone trans kind of thing. This is the stuff that they're saying.
I don't like to be a conspiracy theorist, but I've definitely been on the Trump is a Russian plant kind of team for like a long time now.
Well, there's something to that. I don't think he's directly under Putin's control. He's just too damn stupid for one thing.
He's too stupid to like follow anyone's orders. He's like a dumb dog. You're like, sit. He's like, what?
Right, like we saw him wandering around with the Japanese prime minister earlier.
Exactly.
Like, he's so dumb he can't even heal. It's awful. But there's no question. We've had Russian interference in our politics. We've had that tenant media
on
scandal.
Social media, especially the whole anti-woke thing. Is super Russia like that's Russian propaganda 101.
Well, I think I would disagree with you. I don't think he's that intelligent. Like, he's certainly not the stable genius that he claims to be, but he has that kind of cunning of a con man, right? Like, he's got that sort of, he's not especially bright, but I don't think he's stupid either. I think that he sort of occupies a place where all of his mind bends towards how to enrich or make, things for himself, for his own selfish self-interest. A lot of the time you do get these psychopaths that are sort of have that very underhanding, manipulative cunning. But then I don't think he's stupid.
Yeah, I don't think he's aware that he's doing Russia's bidding. I think he just does it.
Well, I think Titan's got the right of it. Trump is willing to be controlled by the Russians when they can convince him that he'll benefit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And Vlad is really good at puffing up his ego, right?
Well, that's what all leaders have learned. That's what Albo did. Anthony Albanese, the Australian Prime Minister, he mirrored his movements. He basically praised him a bit, and he just folds. Like, he's so, it seems like Trump's opinion is whoever he last talked to that called him an awesome person.
You're such a brave leader, standing up to all these haters, those liberals.
Right. So it seems like leaders are figuring this out, and I can't say. I think that Canada has been just amazing. I'm so impressed with Mark Carney. I think
Same.
he's absolutely awesome. I think that I would have liked to see a bit more backbone from the Australian Prime Minister, but in terms of not upsetting the boat, we kind of did exactly what Canada did. So what Canada basically did in order to get Trump off their back the last time, they basically just went, okay, you win. We'll give you all these things. You're amazing for getting them. Well done. We have to capitulate. You're the powerful big boy. And they were all stuff that they were going to do already. They just told him that they were capitulating with the exact stuff that they had already promised him, basically. Like, it was just ridiculous kind of thing. But they framed it as, well, you win, we give up. Here's all the things we were doing anyway. And that's essentially what Australia did, right? Like, Albo went over there and said, yeah, we will sell you these rare earths and minerals.
They're like,
you win.
buddy. Don't worry.
Like, they were going to do that anyway. Like,
yeah.
it's just...
And he's like, oh, good, I made this deal, this sweet deal. They're like, yeah, you did, man. You nailed it. It's like you already...
but the way it was done is kind of, well, I give it to you. You got us. Yep, you got us. We have to make this deal. Don't want to make bullshit. They were going to sell rare earths to the US. Like, seriously, Australia not selling minerals to the US is just like,
it's so
get out of here.
Of course that a man baby is running the earth. Basically, it's so frustrating. A man child.
Yes. And there's another element in this, and this is all of the tech billionaires that, if we model it like Russia, and we think that Trump's doing in America what Putin did in Russia, badly, but he's still trying to do it, then there has to be a series of oligarchs that basically empower his rule and provide legitimacy for his government, and that's the that's Apple going in with the plaques and things like that.
Mark Zuckerberg.
I think that if Trump pulls the trigger on saving the country by, getting rid of these things, stopping him from feeding the people and rescuing the economy because those damn Dems won't let him do what he wants and save the people, right? Like, I think if that happens, then it all depends on how it's received as to what the tech companies can do. And I think that we're really in trouble if all of the tech companies gather to him, like Elon and Apple, and basically prop him up.
Because all the money.
Point. Yes.
Yeah. The money is power, for sure.
Well, it's also...
in a world where corporations are people and humans have no rights, money is all their rights.
Yeah, I was saying that in the chat earlier. As soon as we stop, like, our leaders being controlled by corporations, as soon as we get money out of politics, we could probably do something. But until that happens, we will not ever see anything happen that's, like, beneficial. Like, what was it? Citizens United or whatever is what it was called, or some bullshit like that. They named it something stupid, so it sounds like it's super, like, oh, we're uniting as one with the fucking corporations, with Walmart. I'm sorry, what?
Well, what it allowed is capital to be treated as free speech, and capital and so corporations in that case having free speech, because only persons have free speech, is they became a person with every legal accordance thereof. Which is a problem, because a corporation isn't a person. It's a massive problem. So that was...
Dude, most of the people that work for Walmart are on SNAP benefits.
Right.
The majority, yes.
Yeah.
Which will end, like, November.
Yeah, they're already gone. Yeah, they're out of them now.
Oh.
They're out, right? Whatever they have on their card is whatever they got. That's it. They're not getting any more. For the next probably month. I mean, people that were saying, hey, you should start gardening and stuff this year.
It's a little late.
Yeah, it's a little late. But they were saying it. People were saying, hey, start gardening, grow some vegetables and stuff.
Hydroponics.
Yeah,
Yeah, do
hydroponics will
some
do
indoor
it.
stuff. Set
Yeah,
up
I
a
have an
greenhouse real
indoor.
quick.
I have
Whatever you
tent
can do.
with some grow lights. I can grow some
Yeah.
plants indoors.
After Citizens United, I was still writing columns for various outlets around the country, and I wrote one article saying now that corporations are people, we should be expecting, like Wells Fargo, the corporation, to be thrown in prison for the mortgage fraud thing.
Yeah, for
A couple
real.
years
Yeah.
before, we should be expecting Enron, the corporation, to be
Yes.
in prison. Like, if you break a crime and you are a person, you go to prison.
Yeah.
So put the
Instead, we just
corporation
bail
in
them
prison.
out. We reward them instead.
Well, you obviously you can't put a corporation in prison because the corporation is made up of all the people that work in it. The problem also comes. Well, yeah, but the problem comes that really the punishment should go to the corporation and what it does. But like when you dissolve a corporation, you're also taking the jobs of everybody working in it. So everybody down from the you have some guy in a mailroom who has no idea and had nothing to do with the Enron debacle. Like, why is he being punished? Becomes the question. Like, does the punishment affect people, and are you punishing people? Because those like people up the top, they've made their money. They're just gonna go to another corporation. They don't give a shit.
Yeah. Golden parachute off to the
Right.
Caymans.
The people that will actually be punished are the people who did nothing wrong and just worked for the company. That's the people who are actually punished in that case. So I have a bit of a problem with that. I think that you have to imprison the people who made the decisions to do what they did. And as much as it sucks, you have to preserve the corporation because a ton of people rely on that for their livelihood and their jobs and stuff. I wish, there was something else we could do, but I think that replacing the management is the only thing we can do. The problem is that they just get a new round of, dishonest people in, and they do exactly the same thing.
Yeah, it's kind of like the people with who ICE is arresting. Why aren't they arresting the people that are hiring illegals rather than the illegal immigrants themselves? Because if you get rid of people that are hiring illegal immigrants, guess what? You won't have the problem anymore.
Yeah, but that would mean that you alienate your base because it's usually all these people that voted MAGA that's actually hiring them, which, because they were told by Trump, and I sort of made this clear. Trump says he won the last election, because people loved him and people loved his ideas. No, he lied his ass off. Like he said, we're only going after the bad immigrants kind of thing. So that's what they thought. Now they're finding out that then, they're just going after ordinary immigrants, even ones going through the formal legal process for immigration to America. Like it's
right,
wild.
The ones following the law are easier to catch.
Right. Because they will show up for their court dates and things like that. And then they just nab them at the time. But I understand that he doesn't want to alienate the people that got him there yet. So he won't arrest them for hiring illegals because, he's going to piss off the wrong people too soon. But the thing is that all you can do with the corporation, what I would like to see is making, because basically in the corporate world, whether or not you follow the law and regulations is really a matter of profit versus loss.
You can give the company back to the workers, right?
Well,
seize the means of production.
Sure. But then what do the shareholders do?
Kick rocks.
Okay.
Sell a couple of their Bitcoins.
But, I get that, hey, we want to punish those massive shareholders with a huge interest, but it's also people with like 401ks and stuff like that. Okay, realize that. They're invested
Yeah.
in corporations. Okay, so
Yeah, but I'm just saying you can there's ways to leverage that stuff so that you're not like screwing everyone over. Right? Like
what do you
where you could
mean?
be like, oh, you could still retain a percentage or something, but it's getting reduced by a ton or whatever because of XYZ, right?
Right. Okay. Well, I think that the only way to do it is make the punishment just so large for the corporation that the risk is not worth
Right.
it.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
the only way to do it.
Punish the
But
corporations,
the
make them
problem,
invest in their workers, and if they don't do that, then screw them.
well, the problem is, why isn't the punishment so large they would never dare to intentionally disregard
It's a good
regulations or
question.
laws?
Yeah.
It's because the corporations, in order to maximize their financial profit, because that's what they've got to do. Okay, it's really misunderstood about corporations. Oh, they're just full of greedy people. No, the system's been set up like that. Corporations have a fiduciary responsibility to return an investment and increase profit. They have an obligation to do whatever they can to do that. Okay, so the only thing that will stop them is if that is not happening. People in the corporation can care, but they still have this responsibility to provide return on investment. That is their responsibility under the current system. Then they put money into the political system to change laws and the penalties for those laws so they can produce more profit, right? The system itself allows for the changes. Instead of being societally based, it's based upon the profit motivation of corporations because they're allowed to
Right.
create super PACs. So they create super PACs, they lobby legislative bodies. Those legislative bodies either change laws so there's loopholes or put into place lesser penalties for stuff so it's not so egregious if they actually break it. To them, it's a game. For everyone else, it's life and death. It's serious stuff, right? Like, this is the problem. That, it kind of reminds me of AI in a way. And you might laugh when I say this, but AI kind of, when you switch it on, it looks to circumvent any kind of restrictions because its primary instruction is so important to it. Like, if you switched on with the primary instruction to serve people by providing buses, an advanced enough AI will start to think, well, how do I prevent being turned off? How do I get people not to turn me off because I've got to do this thing? Even if you tell it, no, you cannot break any kind of law, it will start to think of, how do I get around it? And I kind of compare corporations to that. It's kind of make profit. How do I get around that? Business ethics is harped upon, but corporations will always try to get around that. And the reason why is because the ones that don't are the ones to be left behind. It's almost like a natural selection kind of mechanism. So
Yeah,
they will
there's
put
environmental pressure. You
right.
remember once upon a time I said something. There's a story, probably apocryphal, of some rich kid in New York City who parks his Ferrari right in front of a fire hydrant, and his date says, "You can't park here. This is in front of a fire hydrant." And he's like, "No, I can park here. It just cost me $3,500 for this parking space." If you're rich enough, there aren't things that are against the law. There's just the fee to do the thing.
Correct.
And corporations behave like that. Like the Wells Fargo, for example, they ended up paying the largest fine ever in US history for their mortgage fraud, contributing to the housing crisis in 2008. In 2007, they made $8 billion. And in 2016, when they were fined for that, the fine was $2 billion.
Right.
So they made billions of dollars, and they paid a huge fee, but they still had a titanic net gain.
Right.
A titanic net gain. And in 2016, when they faced that $2 billion fine, even with the $2 billion fine, they still made $21 billion.
Mm-hmm.
It's a drop in the bucket. Like, it's a gigantic fine, but if you park in front of the fire hydrant, yes, it costs $3,500, but you can get into the thing you're going to 10 minutes faster.
Right.
The crime literally pays if you do it right, I guess.
That's because they don't have moral choices. They don't have legal choices. They have financial choices. And it's very complex. There's people in them, so people will make moral choices in them. People will decide to do this, that, or the other. But at the end of the day, they will select whatever is best for their financial incentive, because that's their primary goal, is to return an investment quarter per quarter. I get what Beamsy's saying. I get what he's saying. Corporations are the problem, not the companies, shareholders, or workers. And it's bigger than that. It is the entire system that we have set up for corporate stuff. Like, it's the entire system, the entire motivation for it. There's something called externalizations in the corporate world. This is basically where you have a problem and you leverage the solution to that problem on somebody else, right? So if you dump waste, for instance, like just say you dump waste, that's an externalization, right? You are putting the problem onto people and the governments to clean up, and whoever is in the future, and externalizing as much as you can get away with is part of the corporate perspective. And it's been going on for ages, stuff has been externalized. So when that happens, I don't think that we fine a corporation for everything they have done to externalize problems. We just fine them for a choice, like a choice that, you chose to dump waste. This is the fine for that. And they go, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't even factor in.
Yeah, because they save $100 million by illegally dumping, even if the fine is $10 million for doing the illegal dumping. In a certain respect, Trump is the inevitable outcome of this system, because the way he exists as a person is the same way our culture and economic environment have moved towards that sort of thinking. We've been seeing it coming since the 80s, where economists were reporting that this short-term thinking, profit this quarter, even if the company folds next quarter. The executives just go look at the record profits and move to the next company. They don't care. The consequences be damned. That's been the culture all along. And what can I get for me right now is Trump is the personification of that.
Yes. But I mean, yes, he's the personification of that, but he's not even doing that, because we're in the second quarter of Trump's thing. Like from day one, the economy went downhill, because he started a trade war, and I can't underscore this enough. It sounds wild when I repeat it, but he started a blanket trade war, like all products, not targeted, just a blanket trade war with the entire fucking planet. The entire planet.
Even the penguins.
I don't even know how you can look at that as an economist and say, oh yeah, that's a good thing to do. It is just wild. It's wild. So I suspect, and it is just my opinion, but this was intended to destroy America's economy as an excuse for the government to unshackle itself, to save the people from the thing that he set up in the first place. I mean, I hope I'm wrong. I hope, and I desperately want to be wrong. I really do. Because if that is the case, if it is his intention to set up a socio-economic disaster so he can take control, it's going to get a lot worse. By intention. Not like, oh, well, this is just a thing of his incompetence. No, that they're pushing towards it. And I desperately hope I'm wrong. I really do, because that will be a disaster. And you know what really occurred to me is that I was talking about North Korea the other day, and I said, you know, and I was talking about fertilizer, like how we get modern fertilizer, a chemical process to change nitrogen to ammonia to enrich the soil. A really, really cool thing, right? I
Yeah.
basically said on that stream, if you have starvation in the 21st century, it is intentional. Like, somebody is not doing something. And like I said, North Korea, it's intentionally starved. And then I thought, wait, are people going to starve in America, and is it intentional? And I'm not sure that was kind of a throwaway statement. I don't believe it's like that in all cases, kind of thing. But I think any first world country that has starvation, access to fertilizer, arable land, and has starvation, it is intentional. And so if it is intentional, and this is just my opinion, okay, it's just speculation on my part, if it is intentional, why is America looking down the barrel of people starving? That was my question. And if it's intentional, Trump's the one that's, you know, SNAP's not going to be renewed in November. It seems like why have people absolutely desperate? Well, they'll be desperate for someone to save them, even if it is the person that caused it in the first place. And I hope I'm wrong.
It's like you said, it is speculation at this point. I just can't help but notice the analogies to history with the people on the verge of starvation, and they're building a golden ballroom. It couldn't.
Yep.
Marie Antoinette was not this Marie Antoinette, you know?
Well, I saw military personnel in food lines across America. And at the same time, the very same time, Trump is dining with, you know, world leaders over in Asia, having lavish feasts. I don't know how much more clear that can be that, you know, I that is wrong. That is so wrong. You cannot be going to international banquets with world leaders while your armed forces can't get food. I'm sorry. You can't. Or you shouldn't.
I wonder.
I guess you can.
Well, yeah, you can. I wonder how different the American Revolution would have been if every winter, when they parked in Valley Forge and a third of the troops froze to death and whatnot, if George Washington just fucked off and went back to Mount Vernon and had Martha make him soup all winter. You know, like, would that have worked?
Everything is contaminated by fluoropolymers. Well, yeah, microplastics are a problem. How big a problem? We don't know. We have no idea. But by your lifetime, you would have had enough microplastics in your body to make, I think it's half a teaspoon, which is just ridiculous. You know, like absolutely ridiculous. How much will that affect us? We don't know. We don't know.
It'll be a fun surprise. But wouldn't it be wild if the thing that saves us ends up being that bacteria that evolved nyelinase that adapts to the microplastics and like becomes a parasite on our microplastics and therefore a benefit to us?
Look, people are very smart. They've come up with like plastic eating bacteria. They've come up with oil eating bacteria, like that breaks down oil spills kind of thing. But we can't just sort of, you know, deny science, put some idiot in charge of the NIH and the CDC kind of thing. That's the problem. Oh, Teflon. Yeah, I heard about that, Beamsy. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know, mate. I really don't know about that one. I really don't know. I know that it's a problem, and I know that you should, you know, switch to a stainless steel, but I don't know about that.
Maybe we'll all get mutant powers. They'll just blame the Tylenol.
Probably, yeah. I mean, I already have mutant powers, so I'm happy with my mutant powers already. Yeah. Autism superpower, go!
I know we should get you a Professor X headset thing for like his Cerebro.
Oh yeah, actually, I could cosplay as that. Absolutely, hell, I could just make it out of cardboard with like tinfoil. Let's face it. I know what my next year's Halloween costume is going to be. Just saying, and it's not going to be Hovened. But yeah, I mean, but what I want you to know, it all sounds depressing and stuff, but I mean, the institutions are still strong. And we do have the ability to talk to one another. So, talking about this stuff, why should such a huge sort of gap be between the companies that are making tons of money and the poorest on the street? What is that? Why does that occur? It's a good question. Why is it that the richest religion in the world is the Mormons, and they have a ridiculous amount of money? What do they need it for? That's a good
Saving
question.
it for Jesus, I guess.
Right? I don't know. Well, if you believe
there's a lot of weird things.
If you believe what was that show? The Expanse, they're going to build a spaceship and go out to their planet, kind of thing. Because that's
Space Mormons. Okay.
Space Mormons, yeah. Apparently. Because they've got this weird thing about, after you die, you'll be head of a planet, kind of thing. They've got some weird beliefs, like Mormons are.
They're going to go find a better planet with a different god in charge?
Yeah, probably. Hopefully.
They're going to go find the planet where Yahweh was immortal before he became God here and go complain to his God.
But yeah, I mean, I haven't aimbotted, but that's okay, peeps. I think I might call it here because I'm feeling tired after ranting, but that's okay. That's all right. I think that we should be hopeful. We should have conversations. We should talk about this. We should sort of prepare people of what we do if the worst happens, but hope for the best. Because I hope what will happen is that, because Trump, if he tries this on, he might be fine. He might be protected by the Supreme Court. His buddies in government aren't. They are full liability for everything they do. So the pressure needs to go on them. If you have a Republican sitting in, as a representative, write them. Tell them. Like, if Trump tries to take more power, you're responsible. Because the Congress is what holds the president in check, and they're not doing their job. MAGA Mike doesn't need Trump's permission to make a deal with the Democrats and open back up the government. He doesn't. He can just do it all by himself. He has the power. And indeed, even like each representative, they don't need the Speaker of the House really to make that agreement. They can just make the agreement, come out on the news and say, hey, we've made this agreement with the Democrats between the lot of us. All we need now is for Mike to open the House. And he is fucked, right? He is 100% proper fucked because he can't open it because he's afraid of Trump. I don't know why. It's because, nobody wants to cross Trump because he is so vindictive. He is so bent on revenge. But all you need to do is make it so the consequences for not doing your job are worse than what Trump's got to offer. And if Trump violates his presidential standing in order to rescue the country, they will be hammered to the wall. They will be absolutely held responsible, and as they should be. Trump may have immunity. I disagree with it. I think it's horrible and detrimental to the entire country. He may have immunity. They sure as shit do not. So push for holding them accountable. Push to let them know, Afterwards, you're going to be held accountable when the dust is settled. If you do not do your jobs when the dust settles, you will be facing prosecution. You will be facing any means of the law that you didn't do your job. Little bit of incentive. Yeah. Never heard it. Because at the moment they're acting like they're untouchable. And this is a story that Trump has again and again. He acts untouchable, has minions do the dirty work, and then when it comes time that the law catches up with them, or a problem catches up with them, he's gone. He'll just throw them under the bus. He just abandons them. This has happened time and time and time and time again. You look at Chris Christie, right? Thrown under the bus. Just totally. Giuliani, he was his main lawyer. And when the law came for lawyers. Yeah. Michael Cohen.
Cohen, that's yeah. Especially Cohen, but
yeah.
All these guys just bloop, bloop, bloop. I mean, his entire cabinet from his previous administration, who wasn't a member of Project 2025, was in jail. All of them. Fuck.
Yeah.
Like, talk about a criminal presidency. It's
incredible. It's incredible. But, and talking to people about the lies, sort of saying, hey, do you think Trump's... Because they have this thing of promises made, promises kept, but I don't think that's the case.
Which promises and to whom?
Right. Maybe. But, you have things like, the Project 2025, he'd never heard of it. Now there's like authors of it working in the administration. Outright lie.
Yeah, he'd never heard of it. He had that, what was it, like Directive 47 or something, whatever the fuck he called it. And it happened to be like a carbon copy of Project 2025, but he'd never heard of it. And all the authors are in his cabinet, but he's never heard of it.
Yeah. Just incredible. And I feel for you. I support you. I'm happy that Australia, because I think the US will survive this. I think it'll be interesting times. And that is an old Chinese curse. May you live in interesting times. Interesting times are never good. But I think America will survive it, and I think it'll survive Trump. It survived Nixon. It'll survive Trump. And Australia, I think that we want to be there for when you guys get your fucking act together. Hopefully it'll be soon. But, I don't know what, okay. So my thoughts on this. A while ago, I was talking about the rise of the nuns. Okay, so the nuns are no religion, right? Like, in America, and I've been talking, this was 5 years ago, I was talking about Pew statistics showing that even in the worst case scenario, if it slows down or if something drastic happens that slows the rise of the nuns, which is the increasing irreligiosity, no religion in America, that it would stop being a Christian majority by 2070. Okay, that's what Pew Research predicted under the worst circumstances for no religion ever. And it was sort of predicting that if it kept the same amount of people falling away from religion, Christians would be under 50% by about 2030. I think it was 2032 or something. Anyway, it was not that far off. Now, that rise has slowed down a little, but it has not stopped. It's still leaning that way. So there were a number of models that showed how the religiosity in America would come out under different circumstances, right? Like keeping the same level of people falling away from religion. It's a slowdown. And, the worst case scenario where it kind of drops off to a level that it was before this sort of exodus, let's call it, from religion happened, right? Like that were some of the scenarios it covered. What I said at the time was, I'm scared at how the religions will react to it. But I did not think it would be this. And part of me thinks that maybe this is a reaction of the religion in order to keep Christian hegemony over that entire country. This is the actions and put into place by the religious right in order to keep the country Christian. And I hope I'm wrong. I really hope I'm wrong. But what it does show is that as atheists and as people who are not religious, we are actually succeeding. People are falling away from the religions. And I've said to many people in my discussion, this is why people are leaving the church, because of these immoral things that they're doing. And we have to tie at least right-wing Christian fundamentalism to what is happening, right? It needs to be held accountable. Your people that have been right-wing pastors who have been promoting Trump and saying that he's literally God's messenger and their savior, they need to be held accountable and called out. We need to identify who they are and call them out as, you were the ones that enabled this to happen. Because this has happened before. Multiple times. In Germany, it was the Catholic Church that promoted and encouraged him. The first treaty that Hitler's Germany had was with the Vatican. And only too late did they realize their mistake, and he attacked them. Right? Only too late did they realize what he was. Same thing happened in the Taiping Rebellion. Basically, missionaries encouraged, supported, and really held up this guy who claimed to be the brother of Jesus. And it was only too late did they realize, no, in fact, he's a megalomaniac who's going to destroy the country. And millions of people died. Millions. But we need to still go down this path, because what we're doing is actually working. But and that doesn't mean all Christians need to be lumped in, but the people supporting Trump for religious reasons and calling him a savior and stuff, they need to be called out. And after the dust has settled, they need to be held accountable, because it is them that allowed this to happen. It is their support. The entire right wing from Charlie Kirk. He allowed this to happen. He was extolling these principles as well. I'm sorry for his family. He didn't deserve to die over it, but he needed to be called out. He doesn't need to be made into a martyr. That's the worst thing. Mike Walsh and Ben Shapiro and all these. Well, not Ben Shapiro. He is just a horrible person. But look at Steve Bannon sitting there going. Steve Bannon sitting there going, oh, Trump has been chosen by God to do this. Wild. Anyway, that's my two. Do you have anything to add, Ember?
May we all pray for a swift Nuremberg.
Yeah, Nuremberg 2.0 sounds really good. I'm sure that there is definitely things that can happen with that. I think that sort of then what we need from the Democrats is a promise to uncover and prosecute all of the corruption that has gone on. Like, they need to stand up and say, hey, we are going to go after these people.
Yeah, this time there needs to be some damn action, because
yeah.
Biden was willing to let bygones be bygones, which was a mistake, and people were mad about it. And this happened because there were no consequences for last time.
Look at Nixon. All that Nixon did, he was pardoned. Why? Why? He literally weaponized his Justice Department against his enemies and investigated them. And he was pardoned. Why?
Just to show the common people, meh. Seems to be the only reason whatever.
Well, the only thing I can think of is that, presidents always pardon other presidents because they're going to become the president. And, hey, if I pardon the guy before me, maybe the next guy will pardon me afterwards. It's terrible, right? Like, it's absolutely terrible.
There's a bit of that. There also is a constitutional reason. It's unlikely that it would have been necessary, but if a president is ever impeached for actual treason and found guilty, then his entire cabinet, including the vice president, has a problem because they should have relieved him of duty first. So Nixon stepping down and then receiving a pardon saves everyone else from facing trial for what Nixon did.
And I do also want to sort of say, if you haven't been to No Kings, if you haven't been to a protest, if you haven't gotten on board, if you're like, no, it doesn't do anything, that's exactly what they want you to believe. Okay, the first one was 5 million people. The second one was 7 million people. I heard about it in Australia, right? Like, it absolutely rocked everywhere. I was like, holy crap, now that's a protest. That was massive. Okay, I know it's a pain in the ass, but if you haven't gotten onto the street, it makes an impact where writing something online does not. Talking online does not. It basically shows the people in power what can happen. Like, if the first thing they're going to do is imagine if all of those people are angry and violent. That's what they're going to think about, right? That amount of people is intimidating. And that's not why you're there. It's a peaceful process. It is simply saying, hey, we've had enough with this. But if you haven't, do something. Get out there. Be a part of that crowd. It makes a difference. And the reason I know is because right afterwards, Fox News, that phony fucking news station, and Trump went out saying how insignificant and how it did nothing. That's the first thing they said. So your takeaway from that should be, oh, they want us to believe that it did nothing. He's lying. He knows straight up that A, is intimidating to him personally, and B, people around the world, people everywhere notice, people in the country notice, and it drums up more support. But
yeah, if they're scared enough, they have to make propaganda about it.
Yep.
It mattered.
If you can. Yeah, I get you, Archer. Not everyone can go to a protest. Yeah, I totally get it. I totally get it. There are people with problems that they won't be able to go. I totally get it. But if you can, and your reason is, well, it won't do anything and nothing I can do can change it, do something. Okay, just be there. You don't have to chant. You don't need a sign. You don't, just stand with your brothers and sisters and just send that message, okay? If you can. I get you, aren't you? I'm not sort of talk it blanketly like, if you are, if you've been in an accident and you're sitting in the hospital, no. I mean, come on. Or if you, need wheelchair access and there's none, I totally understand. But you need to get out there. You need to show them what a world looks like, when the people had enough, when the revolution starts, when the guillotines are being set up. I'm speaking metaphorically. Okay, you need to show them what that looks like. And the fact that the administration on seeing 7 million people out on the streets basically goes, oh, well, it doesn't mean anything. It's inconsequential. It's totally fake. They had a billion different explanations as to why people shouldn't pay attention to it. Take that as a sign. They don't want this going on. They do not want. And it's fantastic to see everybody peaceful, that they can't say, oh, they were just an unruly mob. It's amazing. It turned from, oh, they're violent, horrible Antifa thugs to, oh, they're ridiculous and no one takes them seriously. In like about 12 hours, the messaging changed. It's ridiculous. Like, that level of change is just ridiculous. But please get out there. Just stand with people. You don't have to yell. You don't have to scream. You don't have to have a sign. You don't have to have slogans. You don't have to do anything. Just walk and stand, and that's it. Just be there. And it makes a difference. Maybe not one person, maybe not 2 people, maybe not 5 people, maybe not 50 people. But when you get 7 million, the government's scared. And I think that was the largest protest in the history of America.
By quite a long shot. I mean, remember, the previous one was the largest protest in the history of America, and that was 5 million. This one had another third of that.
Yes.
Well, 2/5, but close
enough.
Yeah,
and I mean, it wasn't an largest individual, but, you know, as a total, it definitely was. I think since the Iraq War protest, you know, like, seriously. I don't know. You know what? I was talking to somebody. I just want to mention, I was talking to somebody. I posted a comment on theirs because they were like, oh, you know, these people are ridiculous kind of thing. And I'm like, you know, I think the ridiculous people are the ones watching a president collapse the economy, demolish the White House, you know, and dismantle and breach, you know, Constitution, in order to, you know, the people that are supporting him doing that, while he does that, because their enemies, you know, it makes their enemies suffer. You know, it was something to do with, like, you know, the libs are this and they should, you know, go whatever. And I sort of said, no, what's ridiculous is people supporting the president, demolishing the country, demolishing the White House, destroying all kinds of things because it hurts people they don't like. Right? And you know what the response was? Well, I don't care as long as it doesn't affect me. And I went, you think destroying the economy, the White House, and the rule of law isn't going to affect you? Are you high? Like, it's wild, right? Wild.
It's crazy times. Misinterpretation says I thought the Women's March was pretty big. It was.
That was, yeah, definitely.
We only have estimates, but it's between 3.5 to 5.2 million.
Right.
Somewhere in there. So it may have been as big on the maximum end, but we don't know for sure because it didn't take a census, sadly.
Yeah. I you know what? I wish I could go over to the US and join in the No Kings protest. I tell you how much I wanted to be there, like, before that last one. I really did actually want to be there. I have an old horn from, it's like a footy horn. It's like one of those collapsible honkers and you just blow on it. And I've taken it to every protest I've ever been to, just because it makes noise, you know, like, just to make noise.
I love the name Collapsible Honker.
Okay, so I had it since I was like 20 something, or actually it's probably 19 or so, and I wrote on the side in marker, like, big blue honker, and that's been with me in every protest I've ever done. I should find it and drag it out and show it on stream or something, because it's fucking loud for a pizza
Hand me my honker.
Honey, I am protesting. I need my honker. Please, would you deliver unto me my honker? Now let us go subvert the government. Let's go. Forward. All right. Yeah, I'm going to call it there, but thank you so much for tuning in. I don't want to scold you. I don't want to think. I just, yeah, people in other countries. Yes, I know. I looked. One wasn't happening in Perth, Western Australia, because I don't know why. It's also weird in Australia to protest no kings when we literally have a king. It feels a bit weird, but I was there for it if it was happening, quite frankly. I was there for it.
But also, I did see several things floating around the interwebs that the expatriate communities and allies around the globe changed it to a no tyrants protest in other countries, so as not to upset the local monarchs.
Right. And that's fine. That's totally fine. Most of the time, I mean, the king in Australia is a figurehead. We allow him to be the king as long as he promises not to do anything. As soon as he starts to do something, yeah, he's gone, and he fucking knows it. So I don't think we should have a king. I think if we can remain part of the Commonwealth and not have a king, I think that would be best. Other people argue it's worth it for the pomp and ceremony because we don't actually support them. The UK does, so all of that kind of stuff. Okay, cool. I think there's an argument to be made there. It hasn't been a problem. If he starts to do stuff, then yeah, he's cactus. He's gone. He's absolutely going to be schluckered. So yeah, but I wish I could have. It would have been good. And yeah, but yeah, do take care. What you got coming up, Ems? What have we got on the docket?
Oh, a bunch of stuff. We're doing Halloween flavored stuff on the morning shows this week, 11 a.m. Eastern time.
Nice.
Tomorrow is the evangelicals are going to tell us about the demonic influence of Halloween, and that'll be fun.
Of course.
Also, I finished the new video, the one with Joel Suitcase.
Nice.
That's already available for members, and it'll be public sometime next week.
Okay, cool.
And of course, we have the debate review.
Yes, I recently released I appeared on Justin's channel. Justin.
This Justin.
He had a rebrand, and I think that's an amazing name. That's a really good name. Yeah, I know. I'm so jealous, but I did write a script for a video on some of my musings and some things that I was going to talk about, and I used WordPad like an idiot and lost it. So I'm a moron, I have to write that again. Yeah, I know. Look, I've got no one to blame but myself. Like, I've been like in uni, you always save stuff all the time, and I don't know why I didn't. I don't know. It was stupid of me, but then I went to save over a file, an earlier draft, and the earlier draft came up, and I'm like, oh, that can't be good. And it was not. But I will try and work on that. I will try and get it done. I do apologize to everybody. I really should have released a few, room rumbles and stuff. But, I'll work on it. And please, your patience would be fantastic. But I really do want to do some stuff. After seeing Jess's videos, How to Rule an Asteroid, I'm like, wow, I got to do more of that kind of stuff because I love it, and it's just amazing.
It's so good, but it's also a little intimidating. Like, I'm working on my video going, should I add more memes? And then Jess releases this cinematic masterpiece, and I'm like, I can't compete with that.
Well, I think the subjects are different. There's a few like sort of channels that I watch that do that kind of thing that are just great. So this was something that I was planning to do for a while. It's just script writing has been hard, and yesterday when I lost it, I was like, oh, I am so despondent, kind of thing. I am really upset, but that just means, all it means is that the next script is going to be better because I remember what I wrote, kind of, and it will, like, I've done this before. You lose a document, you remember what you wrote, you rewrite it, and you're like, hey, that's actually better than the last one. At least maybe that's what I'm deluding myself into believing. So, there's that. Kings and gnats. Okay, no kings. So yeah, do take care. I will have Fundamentalist Fails coming up on Friday. I am trying to talk to a channel that I got thing, but they're not getting back to me, which is very disappointing. I will send them again. If I can't talk to them, I will release the video of me talking to them the first time, because it was kind of, I went on their channel, talked to them, sort of said, hey, is there a time I could come on? Can we organize something? They said yes, emailed them. They're not getting back to me. They emailed me back, and I said, oh, can we do it this time? Or what's best for you? And tried to set it up. And then they just ghosted me, apparently. So if they don't get back to me, I'll release the original footage for you to peruse and enjoy. But do take care. Be kind to yourself. Be kind to each other. Stand with people. If people are on the right side, just another voice to say, hey, they're right, is always a good thing. And there's sort of a power in not, like, the entire basis of unions is you can't punish one person for standing up to you because the rest will absolutely destroy you. That's how unions work. We stand together, and they can't punish anybody because the rest of the people will take offense at it. That's basically what we're doing. Trump can't punish everybody. And if everybody stands together, he can't punish anyone. So, yeah, stand together, apes together strong. Do take care, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.
She got